Banjul South.
Member of Banjul South.
Honorable Speaker, I have Honorable Member of Bakau made a proposal. Will we allow?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
The Honorable Member for Bakau made observations and suggestions which are noted. At the appropriate time, the mover of the motion would respond to allay his fears or agree. The President may agree on some of the proposals. Who is the other member who? Honorable Member for Funi Brefet. Okay, Banjul shall continue then.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Having looked at the list of committee members and the report, I think it was only fair enough to have given us this list in advance so that we can have a thorough look before coming today. But unfortunately, most of us, if not all, only received it this morning, which I think they should bear in mind and give it to us way in advance, because this is a very important list of committees that we need to look at. And also, looking at the committee, I don't think that they have done prudence in establishing these committees. Yes, they have taken a lot of time, which I would applaud them for, but due diligence was not given to the selection, and consideration of the standing orders was also not done to the maximum. Honorable Speaker, the standing order says that the Standing Order 96, membership of committees. And if you look at 96(2), committees shall consist of such members as may be nominated by the Committee of Selections and approved by the Assembly on a motion tabled by the Committee of Selections, which is fine. Every committee shall be constituted as far as is possible to ensure that the balance of parties in the Assembly is reflected therein, which I think has been taken into account, but not to the full extent. Honorable Speaker, this Assembly is very democratically demarcated. NPP with 18 members constitute 31.3%. UDP 15 with 25.86%. Independents, which I am proudly a member of, constitute 12 members, 20.68%. NRP 4, 6.89%. APRC 2, 3.4%. DOI 2, and the nominated members 5, 8.6%. Any committee which should constitute 6, and we can take it up to 9 members. If NPP should have 3, or I would say 2, UDP should have 1, if it's constituting 6, independent should have 1. That is proportionally represented, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, this procedure has not been respected. If I look at this, Honorable Speaker, the Committee of Selection, with the exception, because that is basically selected by the majority and the minority. Honorable Speaker, if I go to Appointments Committee, Honorable Suleiman Jame as the chair, Honorable Omar Dabo, Honorable Swaibu Ture, Fatou Cham, Alajimbo Keba Sane. Where is the independent represented in that committee, Honorable Speaker? Honorable Speaker, we should be due and we should walk with conscience. We are here to represent our people, not to represent our political parties, and that is why it was delegation. Honorable Speaker, by the virtue of this protocol, the selection committee should have been guided by this. If we look at the protocol, if If we look at the protocol, Honorable Speaker, vacancy, Article 3. The seats of mental or physical incapability, resignation due to incapability, and so forth. If we look at the terms of office, Honorable Speaker, a representative shall be elected for a period of 4 years from the date of the inauguration of the Parliament by the chairman of the authority. Their mandate shall end in the last day of the legislature. However, a representative who is not re-elected, and I repeat, not re-elected at the national level, shall remain in office until a new representative from his or her state takes up the position. That means that if you are elected, vacant, that seat is occupied, I think we should be guided by our conscience and the devotion of this country and the love of our nation. Honorable Speaker, also it says representation of each member state shall have at least 30% female representation in their parliamentary delegation. Honorable Speaker, and it says that membership should be taken from elected members, people that are elected members. It's good, and obviously I would love to see more women, but unfortunately that is not the case because she is a nominated member. And Honorable Speaker, I think we should be guided by our conscience. Honorable Speaker, there are some committees with no female representatives, and thank His Excellency for nominating 2 more. I think we should applaud him for that. The representation in that committee. And that is not the only one. We have important committees like legislation committee, subsidiary legislation committee. Quite unfortunate, Honorable Speaker. As female, even if we are underrepresented, yes, we might be fine, but we must be reflected in each eyes of other female to run for office and be elected and come and sit in the August Assembly. Honorable Speaker, it's quite disheartening, not only in every committee, but the reason we sent in our CVs committee. Honorable Speaker, it is not only about Yamane, no, sorry for speaking in Wolof. It should be about representation. For every committee that we establish, must have one, independent must have one, and then the rest we share that. I think this needs to go back to the selection committee for them to have a thorough look at it, base it on the laws, because we as a minority, we are going to reject this list and throw it back to the majority leader for him to go back and do his work right. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Member. This is politics. This is a National Assembly. And I think...
Correction, Honorable Speaker, you are here to listen to us and adjudicate.
Please, Honorable Member, please sit down. Honorable Member, please sit down. As I said, you made certain remarks. I need to make some clarifications. I made a speak here. It is fundamental that as we deal with issues that affect Gambians.
Honorable Speaker,
Honorable Member, please.
Honorable Speaker, please, we want to guide you.
Please, Honorable Member. Please.
We want to
Honorable Member, please.
We want to observe, please.
I am not trying to put aside your comments. I think they are very good. What I want to make clear, and that's why we are all here as representatives, whatever we do, that's the emphasis I want to place at all times. Any honorable member who wants to take the floor? All right, okay, East.
Begin by supporting the proposal of the honourable member should be looked at again. The nomination of membership to committees, page 5. Page 5, the top 3. In fact, page 4, from the beginning of page 4, from the end of page 4, methodology. And it reads, plan of members, B, polity, gender representation. And if the selection committee indeed were guided by this, then I don't see any reason why I am excluded from the select committee on education, training, and ICT. Because, in fact, I have already submitted before I came to Parliament other than teaching. I have taught at almost all levels of schools in the Gambia, including the Gambia College. I have headed schools, and therefore I think I should be a bona fide member of this committee by virtue of my experience as a teacher. And number two, in the last Parliament, I was chairperson of the Education Select Committee. I'm not asking you to take me back as chairperson because you have a competent chairperson there, but I think I need to be there by virtue of the experiences that I had in the last Parliament and, of course, the institutional memory of that committee. I think I need to be in the Parliament in that. And then the last point I want to observe regarding this nomination is on gender representation. In the whole Education Committee, there is no single female member in this committee. If you go to our schools, most of the school-going children in Gambia that is not a good sample that we are setting out there. Of course, if it happened in the last Parliament, it was because maybe at that time most of us were new, we didn't have the experience. But now having 5 years experience of committee work, and given the fact that the majority of students going to our schools are female, I think it's important that we have a female member in this committee. On that note, I thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Ali. Funyi Bondali. He's not around. All right. We now have member for Woodley East. Woodley East. Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. I want to also join my colleagues to do some observation. This selection, I know it's not an easy task. It's very difficult because we are also looking at the experiences of people. We're looking at the political pluralism parties. That makes it a bit, it's very important. If you look at 4, Public Appointment Standing Committee, I would have thought that the committee would just make and select their vice chair. But they did the selection for the chair at the same time for the vice chair. So in that respect, it's difficult to check competence and passion and all those things there. I could remember the last time when we met at the employment committee, I was selected as chair, but I gave in handling that portfolio. I allowed the majority leader to take up because he was the NGO affairs for a long time. So that type of opportunity for members to be able to do their job properly. If you look at the vice chair, there is also NPP. So you have two. One is the chair, the other one also is the vice chair. 4 Public Appointment Standing Committee. Honorable Suleiman Jammeh is APRC. Okay, we do that one. All right. Yes, if you also look at it, Honorable Speaker, it would have been useful for us if we had put party tax. If you mention Honorable Swaibu Ture, you put PDY so that everybody knows, because many people may not know me that I am PDY. Very few you would know, but there are people here who are NPP, but I don't know. So, for example, the mistake I've already made, Honorable Suleiman Jammeh, I don't know which party he was. I thought that it was NPP. The list of international delegations, other delegations, But if we're treating all of them together, we should consider the honorableness. So we should look at those rules to see whether what we are doing is in tandem with some of those rules. But if what she is claiming there is right, I believe they need to be looked at. Somebody whose term of office is not expired at the assembly, I think that those persons should continue in those delegations. So we must be able to come to, well, it's the same mistake. It's like, I think the other observations I want to make, they have already been done that. They've done that. But if you look at, also if you look at the international delegations, we should be mindful, because if you come to Serbia, is NPP the chair, or is that also APRC? Serbia, Honorable Abdullah Sise. Honorable member, you can call the number. That's international delegations 4. Gambia, Serbia, French. The chair is NPP. And if you come to, that's a nominated one. Yes, but if you come to Gambia, Morocco, the chair is Fatuma Tanjai. Honorable member, always quote the number, please. 6. I'm looking at the international delegations. We have 2 of them that are confirmed NPP as chairpersons. I was thinking that I could give opportunity to other people to also chair some of the and I've not seen it mentioned. It's just mentioned, but the list is not provided. So no one is. Take 12. Oh, I don't think I have page 12. No, I have page 11 or 14, page 13 or 14. Oh, I missed that page. I don't have that. That's why I don't have it. Okay, it's already provided for. All right. Yes, I think those are some of my observations, and I thank you for giving me the floor. Thank you.
Selection Committee for doing justice. Honorable Speaker, going by the document, page 13, Gambia-Serbia Friendship Group, where we have the chair dominated by opposition. Honorable Speaker, go ahead.
The Gambia-Serbia, yes, but it is still chaired by the NPP. And when we look at the number of delegations that are chaired,
Honorable members.
Honorable member, I thought you will be observing me.
Please, honorable members.
Dominating group, then we are going back to the drawing board.
Honorable member.
Honorable member, you have, I gave you to observe, but
Please, honorable member, for banning shout. Allow the honorable nominated member to continue.
Yes, I think this group is dominated by the opposition side, which I'm very much comfortable with, and I think justice has been done to all the other committees, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I think both nominated members and elected members are given equal opportunity looking at the guiding principle of our document, the standing order. Madam Speaker, Honorable Speaker, sorry. Honorable Speaker, sorry. Honorable Speaker, I believe the previous parliament, Cisse is a member of ECOWAS parliament, and she is a nominated member. Honorable Speaker, going by the other submission as well, that we need to have a security background before being part of the person without.
Thank you very much, honorable nominated member. We now have the honorable member for Central Badibu.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the work that we have before us is not a difficult task, but we have to thank the committee for the job done. Honorable Speaker, care needs to be taken. We are not here to repeat everything, but we are here to look at the good things that we did in this parliament so that we keep the memory. Now, Honorable Speaker, the selection committee, you replace the members, you displace them. Do you understand? They are going to start new in some of defense committee. Yes, Honorable Njai, the deputy speaker, is nominated to be the chair. Now, maybe it's the culture that we found. Former deputy speaker was the chair of defense and security. This time again, you put it there. But now, if there is somebody in that committee who has security background, I think that person will do well. Let's all, it's not about competition. It's not about somebody who was doing it. This time, we need to have another person. We all know that we have a mammoth task ahead of us. These committees are not going to be idle committees. Do you understand? By looking at the virtue of the deputy speaker, he is a crucial committee and he needs somebody who is going to put his energy and his skills. The speaker coming to the chairperson of the committee. Do you understand? This is the two chairpersons of all this committee. So it means patronage was done somewhere. That's to become, do you understand, chairpersons of other committees, particularly, do you understand, defensive groups. We have seen it in the past, where the former majority was in almost all the committees, and we all said we have to make a change. So if we want to bring back the same system, where are we moving as a country? So let's be honest to one another and make sure that chance is given all to also perform. These are my observations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member for Central Badu. We now have
Honorable Speaker and my fellow parliamentarians, I have some few observations that I want to make with regards to this the report of the selection committee. First of all, I concur with the Banjul South, that's Asal Bemba, that this report need to go back to the committee and let the committee do the needful and place people where they're supposed to perform. You see, when it is about the national issue, let's take national issues very, very seriously. And let also not compromise the integrity of this National Assembly. It's not about all committees are going to work on national processes or going towards national processes. So therefore, select members and leave the membership to select their own chair and vice chair. When we sit as members, then we will know who has experience in this and who has no experience together and choose who will be the leader and who will be the vice, sort of. Now, from there, I will start from the Standing Committee on Human Rights and Constitutional Matters, number 12. Honorable Madi Sise as the chair and Honorable Sidi Kengai as vice chair. I have no problem with Honorable Madi because he's a seasoned journalist and journalists know more about human rights, and Honorable Sidi Kengai has no league. Therefore, I will go back to what I said. This report will need to go back to the committee and let them do the needful. You also go to number 14, that is Social Legislation Committee. Both the chair and the vice chair should be looked, even though the Honorable Member for Bakau, Ashan, has already said that and has made his recommendation. You go to number 12, Select Committee on Monitoring the Implementation of Government Projects. I am not blowing my own trumpet, but being a civil engineer by profession and in project management for 19 years, and also manage one of the... Now you go to number 7, number 8, Standing Committee on Defense and Security. Sidinjai is a security threat to this country. Honorable Sidinjai is a security threat to this country. I don't know why the committee...
Honorable Member. Honorable Member, please. Honorable Member, can you withdraw that statement, please?
I withdraw the statement. We still got Honorable Member for Busumbala should lead this particular committee. He has master's degree in security, and he was one time head of intelligence at State House. A police commissioner cannot be in the, let's take national issues very seriously, please. When we sit in these committees and choose, let's be very realistic and let's be be very honest by ourselves. You cannot have honorable member for Busumbala, you should honorable say, can you people lead this committee? The affiliation to the government will consider to do so. But having an independent member for Busumbala who has vast security experience is the rightful person to lead this committee. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Honorable member. We now have the
Speaker, for giving me the floor. I also want to join my colleagues to thank the committee for the work that they have done and the troubles that they've gone through. I'm also going to join some of my colleagues in the delegation. For me, as Combo South, defense is a priority for Apun to read. The Standing Committee on Defense, the work had not been completed and nothing reasons. The minister promised that they are going to look into that, and that report is not out. That is Buba Drame who killed Buba Drame in Gunjur. Honorable Speaker, for the Security Committee to be led by Honorable Sidi K. Jai, Honorable Speaker, point of order. I am not allowing you, please.
No, the point of order.
Point of order. By any other member rising point of order. Honorable
member, what is the deviation? What is the deviation?
I said the post order. It should be headed by somebody who has a background in it. So I am going with the suggestion that we have somebody to head that committee to enable us to do that. I also on businesses when it comes to education in this country. And it is about to suggest tirelessly with that committee to still continue to work with Honorable Yaya Gassama to lead this committee to enable us to complete the unfinished businesses that is hanging in this country. We have a threat at the moment. We have a committee that will not be able to solve that problem and aggravate the position of the students, and also they will not be part of that process. So I think, Honorable Speaker, it is important that for us as National Assembly members and to make the approval, we have people continue, and I want to support that idea to bring back Honorable Gassama to be part of this committee. Honorable Speaker, I think the selection committee did not listen to advice. They have done and they have come up with their own decision, which is not in the best interest of the Gambian people. The Supplementary Act of 2016, which was signed by Honorable Baladaba Jahumba on behalf of the President of the Republic of the Gambia, is very clear on presentation to the ECOWAS Parliament. It is ECOWAS Parliament until the end of that legislative year. You cannot change it. You cannot change it, and it cannot be changed. Who are saying that former Speaker of the National Assembly was a member of the ECOWAS delegation was before the Jahumpa Sise was not a member of the National Assembly. I think people need to understand they do not mix oranges and apples together, Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I am with the view that the monitoring of projects in this country, it is about time that we are serious. A lot of money is going into this project. How can we have somebody to be chairing that committee who do not have any background on infrastructural development, and we are losing millions? The procurement processes are not done on the right way. So, Honorable Speaker, I want seasoned procurement officer and project officer to lead that project subcommittee on project monitoring and implementation to have effectiveness, and the money that the Gambian people are going to pay back are put in better use. Honorable Speaker, I want to remind this National Assembly that it is important that we look at the capacity and the dedication and commitment of people. Honorable Swai Ture had done a lot of work with the Committee on Constitutional Matters, Human Rights and Constitutional Matters. So I think it is important that we give them that due to enable them to take us to the next steps, because we have a lot of human rights issues in this country, and we need to work so that we help them to be able to work to ensure that human rights issues of this country are solved, and we can do that when we have competent people and people who have the passion and who are committed to do this work. Honorable, lead that process. To move a motion without notice that all those who are selected now, okay, to those who are selected to be in the international parliamentary delegations will be called on to give a 10-minute speech as to...
Thank you, Honorable Member for Combo South. Now have the Honorable Member for Kiang West.
No, I have a motion, Honorable Speaker. I passed a motion, please.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me time.
On the floor. But let it move. Moved by the member for Combo South. Honorable Member, you quoted Section 53K of the Standing Order. Am I right? Which particular part of the Section 50? Pardon? But I think in that motion, the discretion of... So that's why I was saying, we've had your motion. Hearing members, we are talking about members coming here for each of the committees that they belong to give reasons why they think they can contribute in that committee. Yeah, I mean, international committees, if you say international committees, why not other committees? So it will therefore mean that every committee that you belong, you have to justify it. And for me, if we go by that, each member of this National Assembly, we are all equal. You are all here to represent, whether you are a trade holder or a primary 4 student. But what you said is true. We need for people who represent us should be able to represent us effectively. That's why we are here. But we should also be mindful that not everybody here has the relevant, well, I don't want to use the word, but we are not equal in this state. I am confident that if you have 1, 2, 3 in a committee who are efficient, they can help the others. And everybody will have something to contribute. And I also believe, that's an opinion, that you may not be chairman of a committee, and you are very effective. Though I do share that we qualified people go to the various committees that they can best contribute. So for that honorable member for Combo South, I think by the member on the floor, if he does not accept, then he cannot take the floor. Who is making the...
I want to observe some of the things that he said. You know, he said something about me.
Make an observation. Honorable member, I said please go ahead. Honorable member, I said please go ahead.
He said that I should be given the opportunity to chair the Human Rights and Constitutional Matters Committee. But I understand that Human Rights as well as the Petitions Committee are, and I cannot be involved in them. And I'm chair, now I'm nominated here as chair of the Petitions Committee. So I think the way it is put, to just
right, honorable member for Combo South, you have withdrawn your motion. We now have the honorable member
to put people in these various committees, and having gone through the list of committees, and I have realized that looking at the criteria to select these committees, we have, from your various institutions, and when it comes to gender representation, I have a concern with respect to gender representation, and out of 23 committees, and it has been clear that
female member is a chair of only one committee. That is gender and social committee. So I believe and I think they should be given an opportunity to hear at least of the issue. It's of no doubt that we had a lot of security lapses in the past 5 years when my sister Fatima was a member of security committee, and she made it clear that she had no security background. So, do you point of order, please?
Yes, the member for Kiang West is misquoting me, Honorable Speaker.
Authority, please.
Can you say it again, Honorable Member?
I say the member of Kiang West is misquoting.
Are you making a point of order?
I am making an observation. The member of Kiang West is experienced, so I am fit to be in that committee. No amount of intimidation can stop me.
Point of order. Honorable Speaker, I believe security is one of the most important sectors of our country. So, anyone who doesn't have a background on that and might have an experience to be able to fit in that committee. So I believe she doesn't fit in that committee. The area of
Honorable Speaker.
Member, the standing orders.
Yes.
Which provisions of the standing order?
Improper motive to any other member. So I believe, Honorable Speaker, I need to be protected. Tell the member of Kiang West. Are you the chair? Respect the chair. You are not the chair, please.
Honorable member for Kiang West, I sincerely believe that is competent and fit to belong to any committee.
Not really.
Since every member of the national any committee.
Honorable Speaker,
please, honorable member. So far, you are here as a member. You can belong to any of the select committee, standing committee, where we put in people to be able to achieve the best results possible. But it does not mean that somebody is not fit to be in a committee. That is a term that is not parliamentary, and we should desist from it. And I sincerely believe that the honorable member for Kiang West should definitely withdraw that statement.
Fit everywhere, or not everyone can be part of any committee. Because
honorable member, I have said that tell honorable members that you are not fit to belong to a committee. A member that has been sent, please, can you please withdraw and we continue, please?
Honorable Speaker, I humbly withdraw that statement.
Pardon?
I humbly withdraw that statement. With respect to the Select Committee on Gender and the Children and Social Welfare, and it is observed that we
I have said, when you mention those committees,
23,
you know the number, just talk about the number.
Number 23, and we have all the 5 female National Assembly members in this committee, and we have 8 members altogether. And the gender issue here, and I believe we need to look at it and at least have both male and female. And we have all the 5 National Assembly again, and put in another male to make it balanced, so that the gender issue, the gender representation we are talking about, because when it comes to gender representation, it doesn't only mean to have female in, but male also should be part of it.
parliament is in the Gambia. We need with different people. So, where to put those people, Honorable Speaker? Even we sit, Gambia is too small. We know each other. Look at number 15, Health, Senate Committee on Health. Who will say that a honorable member for Nyanija should not be in that committee here? Who will say that? Nobody, because he has health background. He has health background. Honorable member for Nyanija has health background. He should be given that to lead that committee. When health committees come, he will be able to know. He can lead us. These are the things that the health department is lacking. But if you put me under the health committee, what am I going to say? Sit down and listen, because I don't know much in health. So therefore, I'm also recommending, please, the chairperson for defense has to be changed. They know each other. But how can we just handpick someone and say, yeah, he's going to be the chairperson? It means you are imposing on people. That's not democratic. I think the list should just come like that and say, now, committees go and sit down, chairperson. There you will see that committees will be able to perform very well. How can we get somebody to be chairing 2 committees or more than that? A committee as a chairperson, 1, but you should not be a chair of 2 committees. It's going to be conflict of interest. Sometimes even among ourselves, when you are in different committees, you look at which committee suits you. You go to that committee. And a chairperson is very, very important in your committee. So you have to look at that, Honorable Speaker. That is very, very essential. And Honorable Speaker, Kasamba, was in, and he's also an education. He has been in education for years. For him to be in that committee is very, 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 very important. Honorable Speaker, bring him back to education. Bring him back. Yes, let's come back. We were there before. We know what is there. Honorable Speaker. Even the honorable member for Central Body was in monitoring, but he's moved. He should also come back to monitoring. He knows there. I'm addressing everybody. I'm also addressing the Speaker. Yes, I'm in that committee. I know that. Look, as I started saying, it's the heart of the National Assembly. Let us see Gambia forward if we want to enjoy our sitting in this parliament. Thank you very much, Honorable Member for Sami. As Chairman of the Select Committee of the Committee on Selection, if you go Section 56 of the Standing Orders, it is stated that the Select Committee may select, appoint members to the Chairman of Committee. It is there in the Standing Orders. Thank you, Honorable Member. We now have the Honorable Member for Janjambure.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the floor. But then may I please observe with the desk table to actually do the right foot. Been given the floor for 2 or 3 occasions. Some of us have been here raising our hands without due recognition. Moving forward, I heard one of my colleagues actually saying the selection committee was consultative. Independent representatives are not really represented in the respective committees, and I will urge this August Assembly to actually observe that. I don't think Motlamin Ba, I have been with him at the National Youth Council as council members, and I think it will be really fair to have the likes of him being represented in the interest of the young people. So I would like to urge this August Assembly to actually consider as to how the committee is being constituted. Also, it involves committee. I don't actually know what experience the chairperson of the tourism committee has when it comes to tourism development in this country. I think in selecting the chairperson for some of these committees, it will be important. Going further to the committees that is for international representations, I would also think the independence into that and give that with the committees, the chairperson and the vice chairpersons for number of the committee members to decide amongst themselves. So basically, these are some of the things I definitely want to bring across, and I want to take my seat, Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We now have the Honorable Member for Sabak Sanjal.
Thank you, Sip. And with regard to the selection committee, most of these, as some of the members here rightly said, based on experience or whatsoever, but I think we were all scrutinized at our constituency level, and I believe that any member who comes here is fit enough to become a chair of these groups. So, and I have not seen any. Secondly, there was no consultation, as the independent candidate for Janjambure rightly said. There was no consultation done at our own level as independent candidates, and I expect that the committee candidate, by having a representation in this committee. I can fully remember the honorable member for Badibu Central was one of the members of this monitoring committee. Although I was not in the parliament, in the dialogue coming to see the progress of work, I could fully remember him asking us very tough questions, which definitely motivated us as the consultant and also motivated the contractor to do the right thing at a time. So I don't see no reason why he should be removed from that committee, because his work was seen to be very effective. I fully believe that.
Fully been done.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the platform. I have made an observation that the election committee have definitely done a good job, and they need to be commended for it. We look, that is, the selection committee have fitted themselves well. The selection committee have fitted themselves well by looking at list of international parliamentary delegates and membership. I don't know it was based on what. Honorable Salif Jao fitted the Pan-African Parliament, who is a member of the selection committee. Into the, we look at Billy G. Tunka, also fitted into ECOWAS Parliament. Alaji S. Dabo fitted into ECOWAS Parliament. They have fitted themselves well. I think I am alerted that something is special. I am new to the parliament, but I think something is special in these parliaments. National interest. And these parliaments are very sensitive, very, very sensitive, because it is about the spirit that you have. What have parliament opinion? Honorable Yaya Gazama should also be part of the education committee. There has been an education, and education committee is definitely a business committee. Business in the sense that the tragedy in the Phoenix is definitely unacceptable. So we need the education committee to start working of effect, to go back to the drawing board and fit themselves outside this, according to my observation.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member Fofoni Bintang.
Honorable Speaker, a document that is presented to us here as a guide, it will only be in effect if you agree and scrutinize
scrutinize it to make sure it is tabled properly. Team and the committee of selection for a great job that they did. About 58 National Assembly members, their profiles are taken and they look at each of the areas that they think they will be able to fit in. I thank them for the job well done. No proper selection will meet so far the state nation and the country at large. So I believe so. We are all here as colleagues. It is not a witch hunt if various committees or names that will ponder in we see other way around. Let's take it as the best practice for us to make sure we achieve and also prosperity will judge us as. Selection of committees, education and training in ICT, that is 16, and that is set. We will work together, and I believe so, and change the narrative of this country so far education is concerned. I believe so. It will also perform well in the deliberation so far my constituency and my region is concerned in Fonyi. I can even guess now based on the tragedy that happened between the border. And I believe so. Last week also, the permanent secretary and the regional directorate also went to the teachers that are struck. They had a strike to make sure that their risk allowance would be increased. But alhamdulillah, a discussion has been made and they reached into consensus so that we see it moving. Because most of their practical works for Gabega is not even marked based on the strike of some of the issues that are affecting the region, more so Fonyi. Since 2017 till date, the decline of educational status quo in both junior and secondary have declined based on some of the effect that my people have faced for the past 5 years, 4 months. In the other area also, some security background, and as per the selection that is made by the selection committee, they've made their findings and they concluded. But we are here as a team. We are here as a voice. We are here as the brotherhood family to make sure we scrutinize the best interests of this nation. As we enter into this parliament, it's about the color, but it's about that Gambia, that country, that security that we think will be able to change the status quo as we move on. Somebody who can also be represented. I cannot even say better, but could also perform. You can see somebody in a particular area, and he said he's not competent, but may do better based on some status. But I believe so. Then the rest comes. Ismail Atamba sought Kamfenda incidents. Children are based on the nature. Stand upright to see that Gambia, not to make sure we see an effective change, provided we have a leader who will be able to change the narrative of the cause for this important committee. And the other observation that I've also made is in areas of chairpersons, honesty is the key of every society or a club or organization. If you know you are given a chance to be a chairperson of this parliament and also effectiveness in performing your role. So I advise my fellow parliamentarians committee that you cannot perform better, seek the input for the best interest of those committees as we all move on. And the other area that I've also had an eyebrow raised in it, that is the international delegation. We believe so. We are, as independent candidates, we never consulted. And I believe so. My honorable colleague, those I've mentioned, the reason why people grab international delegation is for a purpose, or they have something that they think they'll be able to. As we alluded here, as you knew, you also have that mandate, the wider scope for you to be able to analyze and think ahead or make your own research. So I believe so. If you look at all sections of those selection committees for international delegations, we are misrepresented. So when that is not done, we will take ourselves to another level of ourselves. So I want the committee to look into it very carefully, and also look at the area, the friendship, parliamentarian, and the society at large. So I believe so. Consideration should be done in that particular regard. last part is area of agriculture. I know there are senior agriculturists in that party have been deprived of their lands of farming. We done immediately. By June, July, we will start farming in those furrows, irrespective of what.
Remember, we are not on an adjournment debate in the item.
Yes, thank you, Honorable Speaker. Defense and Security. Honorable Speaker, yes, we are here as representative not a party caller. We're leveling somebody as a threat. Honorable Speaker, the then Parliament, the chairman of that and security, it was the deputy speaker. The vice was Honorable Alifa Salali, member for Serekunda, which was holding a political party. But then they deliver well because Gambia. Honorable Speaker, let's see Gambia first. I'm sitting, being a chair, you as a member can scrutinize the chairman that what you are doing is not the right thing. Speaker. For instance, the last parliament, Honorable Suleiman Sao was our chairman of monitoring. And then we remember sitting down, you can how much chair because we are seeing Gambia. We want to work hand in glove to see Gambia, nothing more. Leave everything at the door of the parliament. Here we are representing the people of our nation. Period. But I like somebody mad with experience and so forth and so forth. If you have seen the previous parliament monitoring, and I guess the member for he was working hand in glove with the members and again our people, not the party. And he manifests the honorable member for Balibu, he manifested very well that he is representing Gambian people. In fact, sometimes we have differences that there's no road given to Americans and others. But anything comes to the interest, he's over it. It's what we are all yearning for. Because this Gambia belongs to everybody. You can have experience in a particular various committees. You cannot deliver well. You cannot. Honorable Speaker, based on I don't know, maybe, but Honorable Speaker, I want to decline substitute debate. 15, huh? Yeah. Majority leader, and I want to propose Honorable Abdullah Sise. Maybe he has whereby before grabbing the article, it will take me time to deliver. You understand? Then I will swap Honorable Indum. Yes. And then I'll be going to monitoring. So I don't know whether you are saying on health. Health, they want to come out of it. Yes. And that you want to move to. I propose Honorable Member, Deputy Majority Leader to that committee. Yes, Honorable Speaker, I don't have much to say on this. Again, there is a, excuse me, this Gambia Venezuela Friendship Group, Honorable Seni Jawara is still there. If anybody is not captured in these delegations, I can easily decline and ask the chance to others to because as far as I am in ACP EU Parliament, yes. If others are not part of any delegations, then they can switch in on this article. This Gambia on that note, Honorable Speaker, I take my seat. Huh?
We have a list of parliamentary groups, and we also have friendship stories of membership. Honorable member for Lower Salu Standing Committee on selection of members to this committee. Thank you very much for a job well done. I have few things to observe and then want to suggest few things the members to sit among themselves and decide who to chair the committees. If that is acceptable, we can sit together and decide among ourselves. But also talking about chairman of committees also, I think also it's very important here for one of us to note one thing. We are working as a team and we are working as a group. If committee comes together as a committee, yes, the chairman is there to lead in our delivery. At the end of the day, he's not the only one to decide. We decide as a group. So based on our experience that we have together, when we put them together, he decided based on the whole game. We all move together. So I think we have to look at things properly. Yes, I'm hearing suggestions. So let's look at it properly. If we feel that those chairmen are being selected based on not about, always talk about experience. Talking about the last legislature that was here, some of the members were experienced on what they were given to. They were given those responsibilities to as through. Some were leading, some were heading associations, some were heading companies, some were heading organizations, and then they have those experience. So putting those experience together, it will definitely help. So let's always look at the new ones as people who are experienced. Let's see the new ones as people who are reason, because they gave it back to their people. Yes, they came back here for a reason. So we are also elected for a reason also. So being elected for a reason means something. So the experience there is also important. So what they are doing, they have the experience, they can do it, and they can deliver. Look at the committees as a team or committee, not as an individual committee where they have to decide. He decide on our own. He has to decide as a group, and then bring it back to report on behalf of the group. And when he is reporting, we have the right to observe. So please, let's see this chairman, if possible, go back to the drawing board, sit together as committee, and then with ideas. I think this is few of the things that we need to observe and suggest to the committee. Thank you. Honorable member, nominated member.
It was not an easy task, putting into consideration that, we have certain elements with regards to representation where the numbers were few. For example, when we talk about gender, we have only 5 female. And then at the end of the day, it was the responsibility of the selection committee to put all of these bits and pieces together and come up with a very, very formidable force. Mr. Speaker, I've listened very well, highlighted, from the side of the independent candidates, and I think this August Assembly must have a keen listening ear, and this August Assembly also having a responsibility to ask ourselves what are the underlying principles. I think whatever was done by this, so what I want to do is refer this August Assembly to Standing Order 111, which is on the Committee of Selections, and then I would correlate this to what is obtained on the report of the paragraph 1 states that the Committee of Selections shall consist of the Speaker as chairperson and 5 members of the Assembly, of whom 3 shall be nominated by the majority leader and 2 by the minority leader. Mr. Speaker, if we go to the committee, we'll have the members of the committee. And the members of this committee, number 1 is the order. Number 2 is Honorable Delegations Tunkara from NPP. Number 3 is Alaji S. Dabo from UDP. Honorable Salifu Jao from NPP. And number 6 is Honorable Madi. Sorry about that. Which means that the Committee of Selections was formed in accordance with the Standing Committee. So now,
point of order, please. Speaker. All right. May we hear the point of order putting the relevant
Standing Order 101, as he referred to. Emphasizing here is the Committee of Selection shall consist of the Speaker as chairperson, committee leader, in consultation with their respective groups. We were not consulted. This is what we are saying.
Honorable member,
thank you.
That is not.
Thank you very much, member for
Can the nominated member continue?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you very much, member for Sanjal. And that's exactly where I was coming. If at all the composition of the selection committee was done in accordance with the dictates and then kind of digest on. So which means on the, if at all there is any, on the issue of representation, if at all there is anything that we need to improve on, should be consultation among ourselves, involving the independent candidates in whatever we are doing altogether. And how that needs to go about, I wouldn't delete it further. I think both the majority leader and the minority leader are better placed to continue forth with that endeavor. And the other issue that was much deliberated on was the issue of the ECOWAS Parliament. Because the Honorable Member Manuel South did make some, or refer to the constitution of the ECOWAS Parliament, and again, the Honorable Member for Combo South as well did the same thing. All of them refer to this. Don't listen to what they would say consistently, but could only be disqualified if at all he or she is not what? Elected. Election at the constituency level, or is it election at the AOFB to say the composition have to change? No, but as far as we are making, they have to be crystal clear, so that at the end of the day, the members can be what? Better guided. And again, for the councillor, the all members knows where it's good, but we shouldn't make that definition. If we make that, we might be wrong. We are, when we walk inside this, let us put our party colors outside. It starts because by virtue of being a member, or by virtue of forming this this legislature, it is assuming it's what? Powers. The oversight powers. And the legislature. Background. That's all. And by background we mean the academic. And when we put on party tax on individual members, Honorable Speaker, this is a point of observation I would like to say. Okay? Fancy. I believe like I'm already overloaded. Unless and until you have other motives. Unless and until you have other motives. But if at all your motive is to serve, to continue.
Observation, please. Observation, please.
Can the honorable nominated member continue, please?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable member, please, let the nominated member continue, please.
Finally, Mr. Speaker, I would like to make some observations with regards to, the Standing Order Committee on Defense and Security, which should be on page 3 of the report, number 8. I believe the security sector is one of the most important sectors of this country. And security should not be taken for granted. And it is only natural that this parliament is given the oversight function of having that regular interface, having that opportunity to scrutinize the security sector, aspect of this. On the first day of the 6th legislature, iota of the interest of this country at heart than the other. We all believe in this country, and
they keep mentioning it. It has been withdrawn, and they keep mentioning it.
Mr. Chair.
Constitution. Made and approved by us. Please address all your issues to the chair. Please.
Mr. Speaker, the main reason I'm referring to that point is currently these 9 honorable members are supposed to work. The security sector of this country serves the people well. Now, Honorable Sirinjai have served in the parliament before. We have experience. He served this country well. He served this country well. If in one way or the other, I would say he should not chair this committee, it must be based on his expertise. Let the individual lead it. But it's not automatic. It's not automatic. The individual with the security background here does not have any parliamentary experience. And here we have an honorable parliamentarian who has a parliamentary experience without a security background. So which means, let us allow the committee itself to decide. But my point here is, let us not start labeling each other. Mr. Speaker, on that note, I would say thank you. I would like to take my seat.
Thank you, honorable nominated member. We now have the member for Funi Jarol.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the floor. Most of the observations I have made are already been pointed out. There's only one area, the debate is parliament. Competed either more than 1, 2, or 3 people, and then we are selected to be number 1, to be selected to be here. Leadership is all about commitment, and leadership and who's supposed to be where. And we're talking about experience. And you must be someone who is dedicated to themselves in order to be able to develop. So I believe any one of us who is here, where you come from, your constituency, you're going to represent everything, whether security or education. The white man, knowledge of experience, that's another worst time we are only going to be backbreakers because we don't get the experience. So you have to test us to see that, so you, because he's the one who got the experience. So I thank you.
Thank you very much, honorable member for Funi Jarol.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor. Honorable Speaker, let me join my colleague to thank him down his selection. The important day as we are laying a foundation for the success deciding on this committee. These committees are the lifeblood of every parliament. Committees are very important. Then therefore, if we are dealing with these committees, I think we'll forget about cosmetic. We do the right thing. The chair, the Honorable Speaker knows it, and the story. Now you remove me from all these committees and take me to another committee where I will find another new members and they put me in a committee. Therefore, if we are doing it, let's do the right thing and have the right committees. You have it at the right members at their right committees. Let me just check from what they call, that is the member for Busimbala. We all know that it's a security personnel. I'm not saying let him chair, but let him be in that committee. Security and defense. Okay, sorry. No, I oversighted him. So that's not a problem. So the other issue, Honorable Speaker, is the committee chairperson. Honorable members, what we'll do, they have did the selection. But I would want us to refer the selection of committees, committee chairs, to be done by the committee, the committee in the assembly. Listen, if you want to remove me, I will say no, we go back to plenary. Because it is the plenary that approve me. Then therefore, no committee, because this is the highest decision body. If it is me, I will say no, you cannot remove me. On the issue of standing order, have made it very clear that the expert committee in the executive. So if you looked at it, like the committee on foreign, because immediately if the chairperson executive from a party from the executive, or both the chairperson is not the chair by a party in the government. It's clear. So automatically, if the vice chairperson comes from a party of the chairperson from government, there's honorable protocol there. We will all go there in May. Already we have received our here. Because this one is not applicable here. It is applicable at ECOS. Yes. So that one, yeah, I don't even argue that one. We will be there in May by the grace of God. The way the committee is. As I look at it, all my parliamentary 10 years ex-party in FBAC and monitoring, it is nobody utilizing. And then I'm now put in the committees that I never do. We are all new there. We all going to a starter again. So what are we then doing justice when we during this election? People with their ex-party, you remove them there, dump them somewhere. Observation. Thank you very much.
Yes, I just thank you very much. Open up our minds, like allowing committees to select their various chairpersons and vice chairpersons. I had it over and over. We must be mindful. If we want to do it at committee level, the Committee on Education will look at the best amongst them and agree. The Committee on Health is there. How do you know that they are not electing the same party?
For entire National Assembly, because people have different interests in their life, but also the fifth legislative also need to be looked at. Speakers before laid emphasis on that. More especially, you have committee that is not, and one thing that's very key, the leadership is very key in every committee. Like the leadership is not proactive, you find it difficult for the committee to live up to expectation. Committee in the fifth legislative, and you are not a passenger but a carrier. You have impact in that area. You have a lot of unfinished job with those committees. Some of the reports are not even yet tabled. So if you can go back and guide the committee as how are you going to achieve some of the pending to make that emphasis. Are you talking about the committees or are you talking about the composition? So, you have subsidiary legislation. You have, there's a footnote that says require no plenary approval. So I want to...
South. We now have the Honorable Member of Kalendin Kunya.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor. I will try to be very brief, as most of my interventions just have specific steps. Now, if you are informed that the basis of selection, the selection in their backgrounds and experience is to make sure that they are comfortable in their position, one of the problems that we are seeing. And then I want to specifically talk about the security issue, the security committee. Talk about in Faraba Bantang and other issues, and we've not seen how purpose, because that committee is supposed to scrutinize the security apparatus down to all members. Committee's integrity with regards to the way they see issues in terms of security. Foni Bintang and then other honorables have cited. We've seen that the first of them. So every member who is here, in fact, I thought it would have been best parliamentary experience in regards to that. I want to echo the statements of Honorable Sise, Kiang West, with regards to the now in one committee. That is why you cannot see them in other committees. Because if they are supposed to be in 4 committees and you now put all 5 women in one committee, it means you are limiting their inclusion to other committees. So for me, my suggestion or recommendation will be, it is and have female in all in all committees. Thank you. Thank you for giving me the floor.
Thank you, Honorable Member, for.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. In the constituency, with regards to the composition of selection in the various committees that we have in the national. What I wanted to say has been issues with regards to the defense and security and other committees as per the international delegations. But then I also wanted to talk, Honorable Speaker, with regards to the Standing Committee on Defense and Security. I've heard members talking about not fair. We have at the backgrounds. We have looked at the political pluralism. Last time I checked, I was a law student at the University of the Gambia. And I think as a member of that committee and as a chair is something that, no, I'm not accepting it. You want to observe it? Oh, okay, yeah, okay.
Honorable colleague from All Yundum is a member of the selection committee. We have the majority leader to do that, but not to intervene at this time of the... Because I have not soon, can take it from there.
Honorable member, as you are members, we can now address their concerns. If you talk others, if you
like to my man,
you still have the right. It was just a suggestion. If you want to continue, you can please continue.
Yeah, of course I wanted to continue. I just wanted to, the composition of the committee, selecting a chairperson of the committee. In the 5th legislature, we have somebody who is the chairperson who has a security background. And I've had honorable member from Thailand say the last background to me. What is more important is you have qualified members of the committee to support the chairperson to do the job. That is more important. So for me, it's not about pointing finger to an individual to say he should not be a chairperson to that select committee or that select committee. It's about the composition. Let's talk about the composition. Do we have the right? He is not supposed to be the chairperson. Honorable Speaker, this is what I wanted to clarify. Thank you.
We now have the honorable member for Upper Fuladu West.
Giving me the opportunity to also an easy job, because whereby all the National Assembly members have to tender their CVs before anything is done. So what I just want to say is I just want to make a personal appeal to National Assembly members that let's see our country, that is the Gambia. We should see Gambia. The moment when we enter in this building, what we're supposed to see is Gambia. We should not see our party. We should not see our consequences. What we should see is the Gambia. What is most important, that is the composition for me. Though I already tender my CV, though I'm a health professional by profession, I'm a health worker by professional, and also on education, on sports, on media, different aspects. But I cannot be in all this committee. So what is important, if you find yourself in 1 or 2 committees, what is important, you should just work as a team. I think here the most important thing is the composition. Being the chairman does not mean that whatever you say should stand. Sometimes a chairman can be in a committee. The members are more effective than the chairman. So I want members to understand, because we have been just going around the same perimeter since in the morning up to now. It seems the assembly is in a limbo, and we should not be in a limbo. This is just the beginning of the journey. So I am urging members, let's respect the selection committee, the decision made by the selection committee. We can just come up with our opinions, but this is a responsibility assigned to them. So, but if you want to see other way around, so it makes life difficult for us. So thank you. This is my contribution.
Thank you, honorable member for Upper Fuladu West. We now have the honorable member for Nyani.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the chance. Most of the things that I wanted to say have been highlighted by my colleagues, but I just still have a few things that I want to dwell on, especially in the aspect of security. Now, when you look at security, in most cases in our arguments, we center everything on background and experience. It is very important to have the background of a particular issue. But regarding the experience, once we have a member of that committee who have the experience, will able to help the chairperson, whether he has the experience or not, in carrying out that function. And you can only realize a weakness of that particular committee if they are not working together. And regarding defense and security is one of the most important things. especially in the rural Gambia. Sometimes when we talk about defense and security or high crime rates, we center everything in the combos here, or we center everything in the urban areas here. But the rural Gambia, they are also suffering, especially the constituency where I come from. There is a particular area where you know that almost every academic year, there are some people who will launch an attack to that particular village, and still now it's happening. You go to Nyani, the same thing. You go to Sami also, there are certain areas where you also have the same thing there. The background here is very important, but for experience, if the inexperienced ones are not given the chance to experience, when will they have the experience? The inexperienced ones must be given the chance to experience, so as for them to have the experience. So on that note, I thank you for giving me the floor.
Thank you, Honorable Member for Nyani. We now have the Honorable Member for Sani Mentoring.
Thank you very much, the Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor. And there are some points that I've already observed, and I would like to bring to the National Assembly here. And some points, which is one of the points, which is the gender equality. I think this needs to be taken very carefully. I appeal to the selection of committee to look into this properly, because drawing back to the voters registration, which our own elections has just passed, the female, I would say woman, has participated a lot in voting for us, definitely. The registration, when you go to the IEC registration center, for example, when you check with IEC, women are the majority who registered in that sector. And chairing the committees, the subcommittees that the selection of committee has just formed, I think they should also allow the women to chair some of the committees. And also the newly elected members needs to be considered for chairing some of the subcommittees. As some of my colleagues mentioned right away, that if you're not given the chance to learn, I'll quote the former Honorable Majority Leader from Combo South, Honorable KKB, came into that position, which is the Majority Leader or the ECOWAS Parliament, when he just got newly into the Parliament. And if they did not allow us to start counting from one where he started and then learn to Z or 100, then it means we don't have an experience. And I think which is not fair to newly elected members as well. And coming down to I also commend Madi Sisi to head the ACP EU Parliamentary Assembly delegation and need clarification. I also need clarification from the selection committee why Honorable Abdullah Sisi is chairing the committee when Madi was already there during the last legislative. And I thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member for Sani Mentoring. We now have the Honorable Member for Combo East. Combo East, please.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor. I have an observation here on page 10, that is list of international parliamentary delegation and membership. My observation here is the select committee, as my colleague, Honorable Member for Foni Councillor said. It's like they've fitted themselves very well in this.
Honorable Member, you said page 10, committee number. What's the number of the committee you're talking about?
The headline 4, list of international parliamentary and delegation membership. Looking at the selections from 1 to 8, has clearly indicated that the selection committee were there to serve themselves first. And I'm not pointing it out to single out individuals, but collectively. And having seen this, it's like there has been a common reference to the new elected National Assembly members as newcomers. But we also came into the National Assembly with our diverse experience, and we are able to deliver, and we can. And then getting back to the selection, getting back to page 3, number 7, the Finance and Public Accounts Committee, which, as per my CV, I find myself well fitted in this than any other committees that I may be spotted in. So, looking at this, to me, I'm advising the committee to get back to the drawing board and revisit this, to check, and then the national interest matters most. We should consider it with due diligence to be able to fix out people in their areas of competence, to be able to deliver and serve the country much better than fitting out people to take a choice that you might not want to. We've given out our CVs, and then they have clearly stated, if there is anything to doubt for, invite the member and then take it up with him to find out. But the expertise here, the way people have been slotted in these committees, I found myself to be very unfitting in some of these areas, and I want it to be revisited for better services. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Member for Kumbo East. We have Honorable Nominated Member Maimuna Sise.
She's out.
She's out.
Yes, Honorable Speaker.
We have Honorable Member for Banjul North.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Assalamu alaikum to each and everyone present here. Before going further, I would just want to commend the selection committee for a job well done, but also to remind each and every one of us here that there is a saying that goes, a problem that is not solved is still a problem, but a problem that is solved is no more a problem. And I believe this is the situation that we are facing right now as a team. So in that regards, I believe it is important for the selection committee to go back to the drawing board, to consider and also recognize the importance of representation. Because looking at the different committees, I believe competence, it is very key as far as representation is concerned. Based on the list that is page 10, the list of international parliamentary delegations and membership, understanding the CV that I provided based on my profile, I'm not seeing myself as part of none of these committees or delegations. It's a very big surprise based on the experience that I have. If you don't know, my fellow honorable members, I've served internationally as far as I was a public servant working with the Banjul City Council, and I've been responsible, or I was the focal person between a city in China, that is Nanning City, and the Banjul City Council, which have yielded dividend in terms of, more especially during the COVID. And I believe it is something that needs to be considered as far as going through our profiles are concerned. Because being a member of this delegation is not only to go there and do whatever, but to be there, to be of profit, I can say, to the country. Because people should understand the international protocols. And this has nothing to do with sentiment. And I believe all of you will concur with me that understanding issues, more especially international issues, is very important. I don't want to name names here on the list, but I believe, like I said before, it is very important for the selection committee to go back and sit down and see how best they can go back to our profiles and see how best they can come up with very good representation in terms of our international delegates. Page 12 of the report, the list of parliamentary friendship groups. I saw myself within the group that says Gambia Franco Friendship Group. I indeed appreciate that group, but I think I am more fit understanding the issues between Gambia and China to be part of the Gambia-China Friendship Group. This is my appeal to the selection committee. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Member for Banjul North. We now have the Honorable nominated member, Maimuna Sise.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I would like to dwell on a little bit about what my colleagues have been emphasizing here. First of all, thank the selection committee for doing this wonderful job. This world is not balanced. Not everybody will get it on their own way. But at least we have to have the understanding and harmony between ourselves. Not everybody can serve in every various committee or a particular committee of your choice. But when it comes to the interest of the National Assembly and the people we are serving here, we have to give consideration to so many things. I would like to refer to Honorable Member for Kiang West, who was against the five members of the female candidate in the National Assembly. That is not balanced. They need a balance in it. I just want to put it to this section on the right. Gender and children is our domain. And you don't want us to be left behind. That's where we are curtailed. Definitely our representation there, because out of the 23 committees, we have the representation of only 9 committees where the female representatives are actively in. So by sharing that position, or 5 of us in that one committee, I don't think there should be a problem for that. So definitely I would like the committee members to understand that, that these are the various positions we also will do better, and we can dwell so many things on it. We know ourselves better. When the last paragraph I will go in for it is, this National Assembly, we would like us to be very decorum when we come to deliberations. We have to respect each and every one of us here. We all are an adult, we are responsible people to be here. And we all know our missions why we are here. We cannot be looking in the eyes of each and every one of the attacking or which nobody would like to say it. I think today is the first day, and we are learners, and I think when we want to learn something, we want to learn it in a better way. 2 of the comments were not very favorable, which come from the 2 Kiangas, which I just want them to see, at least. Starting from you, yes, you withdraw, excuse me please, allow me to finish please.
Honorable members, I have said address all concerns to the chair. Please.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. We have to deal with a decorum here, and we have to be very civil when it comes to deliberations. We have to respect each other. This is party politics has to step behind at the annex over here. We are here to represent the people of the Gambia. Let's see us as a very responsible and very formidable forces who can put this country first. before the politics. Please, Sidunjai is a Sidunjai of Gambia, and Sidunjai been serving in any of these committees. I think he has the prerogative to be there. It depends on the committee he wants to serve. But by attacking on his personality, I don't think he doesn't tell well. Especially my colleagues, I just want to put that one to you guys. Thank you. Honorable, I take my seat.
Thank you, honorable nominated member. We now have the member for Upper Salem.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Thank you very much also for all the honorable members that actually have contributed so far to the debate in confirming the draft selection of the committees that we actually have. Honorable Speaker, this is not an easy task. We are dealing with about 58 members with varying profiles, varying experiences in life. For them to just come up and then put everybody in a category is not an easy task, and we must thank them for giving it a try. What we have actually is a draft. It's not final. And it's upon us to make suggestions to them based on what we know, based on the experience, based on the education, or based on where you think you can actually fit. That's all, nothing else. This is just a suggestion that they have. It is not a perfect document, but it's up to us to make it perfect so that we can move forward and work together as a team. The effectiveness of any committee or the productivity of any committee does not rest in the hands of the chairperson or the vice chairperson or the rapporteur. It is the responsibility of all the members that must work together to understand the remits of the committee itself and work together to move this nation. It does not depend on the chairperson or the vice chairperson of the committee. It does not. I give an example. I was in the Finance and Public Accounts Committee for the past 5 years. I was not the chairperson, I was not the vice chairperson, and I was not even the rapporteur. But most of the reports in here, I'm the one that presented the reports and defended those reports. And I was not the chairperson, I was not the vice chair, and I was not the rapporteur. It is about teamwork. It is about us bringing whatever you know, experience, education on the table. We share. We shape our reports and move on. Nothing to do with chair. The chair was the Speaker of the Parliament. The vice chair was the Honorable Sidia Jatta. But because of the way the FPAC work together as a team, everybody brings what you know on the table, we take those and share it, and then shape the affairs of this committee. In fact, and that's why I say, you must understand the remits of the committee first, before we say, this one is not fit, or I'm fit here, or I'm fit there. To give you another example, I can fit in about 10 committees in this parliament here, and I will do work very well. But I cannot be in all those committees, I cannot. Because if you look at the Public Enterprises Committee, and I think I can fit there very, very, very well. But I cannot be in there, be in FPAC, be in education, etc., etc. I know you know about me, I know that. So, but that's what it is. We must be content sometimes. We must also understand the limitations. Because the more committees you are in, I can tell you, the more you may be ineffective. Because some of these committees' work is very demanding. That one I know. So I think what we can do, let's see where we think we can fit best. We give the suggestion. And then they come back to file the document so that we can all work together. But I can tell you, from experience, the effectiveness of the committee does not rest in the hands of the chairperson. And we have changed chairpersons here. When they are ineffective, we change them, we remove them, and put somebody who will be very effective in really driving the force of the particular committee. We can do that. Standing Order 98 gives us that committee the power to do that. So I can tell you, don't have any fear about anybody here. As a person, you are elected, we are all equal here. It is the responsibility of our constituency that put us here, and that of the president for the nominated members, because of the trust they have in us. But it doesn't mean that anybody will drive you as a dictator. No. We must work together, and we must stand our ground to ensure that the remits of this committee is actually respected, and what the country wants as far as the Gambia is concerned, we respect that and we do exactly that. There will be no dictatorship in this parliament here, none. Honorable Speaker, I think there are two committees that I think I just want to give a suggestion to the committee. One is about the gender committee. We know the honorable member for central body. We know, we work together here for the past 5 years. He's my in-law, very good one for that matter. But he's very particular about this gender committee. And we have about 8 members right now, and I would suggest that we add him there to make it 9, because he's really very active about gender activities and stuff like that. We are making a suggestion that we can add him on the particular committee. And the other one is about the member for Kiang, Honorable Gassama, also about education committee. We were there together as a team. He has a lot of experience, and I worked together. He was the chair of the committee, and I was the vice chair of the committee, and we worked so well together as a committee. So I think it's important that we can bring him back in the committee, where we see where we can actually remove him from another one and put him back, or reduce the number.
Honorable member, your first suggestion was for Saho to be
on the gender committee.
And then the other one
is about the member for Kiang East to be a member of the education committee.
Member of education?
Yeah.
Okay, you can continue.
Yes, well, that's up to him. I'm just suggesting for him to be there wherever he wants to get himself. Maybe he can say that, yeah. So it's based on, Honorable Speaker, based on the experience we had on the particular committee, because I worked with him together. He was the chair, I was the vice chair, and we worked so well together. And I know we have a lot on the table that we really need to put back here for plenary. And I think it's going to be important that we at least have 2 or 3 members. Because if you look at it now, it looks like I'm the only returning member of the committee. Everybody else actually has been removed, so I'm the only returning committee on that committee for education. So I think it's important that we bring him back. Then on the issue with international delegation, particularly with ECOWAS, we need to be very careful here. The selection of members of any international committee rests on us here as plenary. The selection committee gave us a list in 2017. By way of motion from the majority leader, we confirmed that committee. And we sent them to ECOWAS, we sent them to Pan-African Parliament and other international delegations. And when they were going, we took a letter along with us, telling us that these are the 5 members that will represent the Gambia in a particular committee for a period of 5 years, 2017 to 2022 to be exact. We took those letters along. If there is any supplementary changes on the standing of the ECOWAS, changing from 5 years to 4 years, but our letter from the Gambia says you are for 5 years. This will have come back to Gambian Parliament and says no, we are only accepting 4 years. Have they done that? You see, what we decide here in the Gambian Parliament here, in plenary here, cannot be overridden by any other parliament. This is us. When you look at their rules, it's kind of very interesting that even the African Parliament that I was a member of, by the time I'm sworn in, my membership of the African Parliament is dissolved, is finished. That's not what we have as a member of the Pan-African Parliament. The moment I'm going for elections, I am no longer a member of the Pan-African Parliament. And if I win re-election and the Gambian Parliament decides to send me back, then I can be a member. That's the only time I can be a member. So it's the same thing that would apply. It's plenary that decided the membership of ECOWAS in 2017. We agreed here by way of motion by the majority leader. He's the one that is the motion. The motion passed that 5 of them will represent us in the ECOWAS Parliament for 5 good years. Those 5 years have elapsed, and it's upon us now to pick another 5. If you want to take the same people back to them, it's up to us. If you want to change, it's up to us. And that's what we call, we are the one that we recall. It's 2 things. You recall or you remove. You remove when you lose an election. When somebody loses an election, you are actually removed from the parliament. But by way of motion here, we can recall. That we want to change, we want to amend the people that we sent. That's up to us, we decide. If you want to take them back, it's up to us. But by way of this motion, by way of this plenary here, we are the one that will decide. Not ECOWAS, nobody else can decide that for us. We will decide that here. And it's up to us. No amount of amendment in their protocol or standing orders would actually change that. You cannot change that. It's our own here that will decide who we send. Not any other one that will decide who we send. It's us that will decide that. So we must understand that, and we must work together as a team. You know, being in this international delegation is just a privilege. It's not a So we must understand that I don't believe for a fact that this selection committee has anything against anybody in this parliament here. I don't believe that for a moment. So they did what they did under the circumstances at the best of their abilities, but we can give suggestions. Let's improve here, let's improve there. That's our responsibility until we arrive at a final list. We say this is what we have agreed, all of us, we put the motion here, it passes, and then it becomes our own document that we actually keep here. Nothing against anybody. So let's work together. On that note, Honorable Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. We now have the Honorable Member for Busumbala.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor. I will start by observations. The observation that I will make regarding the selection of members to various committees. We would have said there are methodology given when selecting a member for a particular committee. And among those methodologies, we have seen the background of that member, the political pluralism, and the gender representation. I believe this is the cream of the Gambian nation. We as the parliamentarians, we are representing the whole country in this, everybody in this country. So anything we are doing here, we should be sincere to ourselves. We must do selection to various committees with what we have laid down as rules and regulations, as methodologies. Now, if there is some element of biasness in terms of selecting from this house, what are we going to expect that the institution we have in oversight functions for? So I must acknowledge the process that has been taken by members of the selection committee, and they have taken their time to come up to this far and give us names. But notwithstanding, they need to do it proper and do it better, for this house represent Gambia. Yes, we would have said there are methodologies in terms of selecting members. One of those methodologies is by looking at the background information of that individual. It will be not fair enough for someone with a security background, with a master's and with LLB, to be answerable to someone who does not have a security background. We can work with him, provided that there is no sense of biasness that has been played within the selection process. But at this point in time, I would advise the selection committee to go and adhere to the principle and the grounds that they have laid as a way of, selection process. When it comes to the international delegations, we have seen some of the new members who foresee or who have the belief that the old members have taken advantage based on some benefits that has been, attributed of being a part of a certain committee on certain delegation on international matters. So we would have said, we the new members are your brothers and sisters. Teach us well. We the new members are your brothers and sisters. Teach us well and teach us manners that is going to represent the Gambia. We are all representing our constituencies, but above all, we are all representing Gambia as a nation. So let's do things in this assembly that will represent the best interests of Gambian people. Let us do something in this assembly that is going to make Gambian people proud that now that Gambia have a blessed National Assembly members that see Gambia and Gambia alone, the best interests of Gambia will be propagated here. But as of look of things, the way it has been started, we have seen some biasness in terms of selecting committee members in various committees. For example, I will take myself as an example. I'm a barrister in law. There are areas here like subsidiary registration committee. I believe my service will be more needed in this area than other areas. As a barrister in law, human rights and constitutional matters, I believe my service will be most needed in this area than other areas. As part of Security and Defense Committee, I believe, by virtue of the vast knowledge and experience I gathered for 15 years in that profession, would have put me in a proper footing to chair that committee. If I did not chair that committee, I would see there is biasness in it, and then we should not allow this assembly to be trampled upon just to serve a particular purpose or interest group. Let us unify as Gambian, and we are representing Gambia. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Member for Busumbala. Membership of committees, chairmanships, vice chairs in Parliament is not you are answerable. Parliamentary committees work as one body. The chairman is just force among equals. So, and that's the spirit which we carry on. We now have the Honorable Member for Bundung Kakunda.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor. I just want to make a comment concerning about the issues that we are discussing here. I think so far so good. Since in the morning we are discussing on the selection of committees. I think the moment we are all elected, we are already a leader. So being a chairperson or whatever is about teamwork. You know, teamwork is very, very important. And the one objective that we should have here is to impact the life of the Gambian people. By doing so, this is why we are elected here. So committees, you know, if we want to go by the normal, by choice, we can put ourselves where we want to. Because as for me, I have seen myself somewhere. I know I can do somewhere, but there are certain areas I know I can deliver there much. But, you know, we have to understand and do this thing as a teamwork. Because the leadership is about a team that is behind you. If a leader succeeds, it's about the people who are behind you. So whatever the case is, let's just try and understand each other and, you know, move forward. Because at the end of the day, the people that send us here, they don't send us here to just, you know, go for leadership or whatever. For me, I'm already a leader in my constituency. So whatever I do here is just to do something that will impact the life and the aspiration of my people. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Member for Bunugakunda. We now have the Honorable Member for Ilyasa.
Thank you so much, Honorable Leader, Speaker, for giving me the floor. I want to join my honorable colleagues to strongly thank the committee for the job well done. Definitely it is not easy, but definitely they have tried very well in placing people at the rightful position. So far, the committee, it comprises of all the parties. So I think they have played an important role. For that being the case, everybody in the house here is so far given the opportunity to be in one of the committees. So far, they have used criteria, and this criteria, it is very important so far that all the members of this National Assembly are best placed and positions, and I think we will all serve better in our various positions, and we are definitely better placed. So as far as education is concerned, I'm definitely concerned, and I'll be very pleased if certain people in the house here are placed in that committee, because we need their expertise as far as education is concerned, because education is the backbone of the country. So far you have some people here whom you know that they will be very, 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 very good as far as education is concerned. People like the Honorable Member for Central Badibu. He was a seasoned teacher so far, and then he knows many things in the education. So obviously to have such people in the education committee, I think is a very, 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 very important as far as education is concerned. But so far, I again thank the committee for the job well done, and I think definitely whoever is placed and whoever the position will do our utmost best to serve the Gambian people. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Member for Iyasa. We now have Honorable Member for Nyamina West. Nyamina West.
Thank you, Chairman. I want to join my colleagues in thanking the Select Committee for a job well done. It is difficult, as they alluded, to satisfy. And to me here, it's not about the leadership that is important. What is important here is the tax given to us as citizens. And since we are all here to represent our various people, and as someone alluded, we are already leaders. We pass through election and we represent our people here. So we have a tax in hand. That is very important. Still now, I will commend the Select Committee on a job well done. For me, I'm definitely satisfied on all the committees I saw myself, because I did not have a preference on each of these committees. I'm just here to make sure that I perform my duties to expectation. But in performing this duty to expectation, this will have to link me to the job I was doing in this parliament in the 5th legislation. And since that is the case, when we come to the method that the select committee was using, it's a very good method. The background of the members, political pluralism, the gender representation, which was very perfect. But my observation is that I think they would have also make a reference to the list of re-elected committees and the committees they belonged in the 5th Parliament, because we all know that there was a lot of work that we compiled here that was left, and definitely most of these newly elected members would have depended on us, or would have definitely expect a lot from us to take them through those files. So in such, if I happen to see myself into various other different committees of which I have not been a member before, and a lot of work, for example, I was doing with the Select Committee of Trade with regards to these prices and whatsoever. We have gone too far. We had a lot to complete, and suddenly to see myself off track, and I found myself loving that particular work, and I thought that I will accomplish something that will benefit the nation in one way or the other, just to see myself now in a new committee. Those are issues that you should have definitely looked into by taking the list of the select committees of the 5th legislative as a guide. But I think it was an oversight. But if not too late, still now, you can still now use it as a guide, so that in each of the committee, you will leave at least one person who was there in the 5th legislative. That's my observation. The other issue with the security issue, and Honorable Sidinjai, I don't think it's very relevant saying Honorable Sidinjai cannot be a chair in that committee, because looking into the matter, it's more of parliamentary procedure than going out there and performing the role of a security person. No, this is altogether procedures in the parliament, and this is why Honorable Sidinjai is taken to be part, or to be a member, or to be the chairman of that select committee, because you could understand he got the experience of the parliament. So that one, I'm not in for any side, or let's say condemning Honorable Sidinjai as being a parliament or member. So I want to also say Honorable Bunduka Kunda has said it all. We are here as one family and as Gambians. Once we get in, let us take party sides outside, and we see how best we can work in union to see the Gambia move forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member for Nyamina West. Honorable members, that was the last name on the list. Unless there are any honorable members who may still want to contribute. Nobody? Honorable members, is there anybody? Who? Who wants to contribute and has not contributed? Honorable members, may I now call upon the Honorable Majority Leader and member of the committee, Honorable Speaker, to respond to the issues raised and wind up the debate. Honorable Majority Leader, please.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor.
I equally want to thank each and every member who took part in this debate to make it more enriching. I want to also seize the opportunity to thank your humble self for the professionalism you've handled the deliberations in the chamber. Honorable Speaker, this is the fourth day of the 6th legislature in Parliament to put in ground footing as per our working tools, to put in place committees to keep the ball rolling, to pick up from where the 5th legislature stopped and pick it up from there to keep the ball moving.
Majority Leader, observation, please.
It's
Is the majority allowing the observation?
Responding on issues now, not debate.
Honorable Member, Honorable Majority Leader. Honorable Majority Leader.
No, my role is to respond, not to observe me.
Pardon?
I'm responding to issues, not to open debate.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Please continue.
Honorable Speaker, we appreciate and value every single contribution, every single observation. You just help to enrich the job and make it more professional. As earlier alluded, these are 3 templates, or these are the 3 yardsticks the Committee of Selection did utilize: the political background, the gender representation, and of course, the experience of each member. Going by the first speaker of Nyanija, I thank so much for committing the committee for a good job done. And of course, you know, you can never satisfy everybody. But of course, we appreciate your and there is no much more we are further deliberating on. Member for Bakau, of course, he did observe and thank the committee on the selection of various committees, standing committee and also select committee. He flagged the issue of the chairpersonship of defense and security issue. I want us to see ourselves as all honorable members. And as honorable members, we should be each brother's keeper, to entrust each other, to work hand in glove, to keep that brotherhoodness among us. This is the first day. We should talk to each other, not talk at each other. Responsibility is paramount. Chairpersonship of the committee is privileged. Once given, it's up to the membership to look, work with him, help him succeed. Leadership doesn't really matter. What matters, you can be a member and debate extensively. Committee chairperson, you hardly debate. But I always want experienced one. Those that have exposure to be the members, to scrutinize ministers, to scrutinize policies. But the chairperson, you have limited role. Your there is to play as a referee. But if you have members who are well experienced and well exposed in security matters, they can come up with observations, counter opinions, on to make those committees work perfectly. So if you ask me, I would really appreciate the likes of Honorable Member for Busumbala, with his well exposure and well experience, to be an active member, not as a referee, deliberating on who to give the floor, who to observe here and who to observe here. But of course, let's give it a try. Membership of the committee will look. If anybody didn't perform the expectation, you are at liberty at any time, not really coming to the parliamentary plenary here to effect changes. So be rest assured, let's give each other a try. And secondly, also, we found him as member of the committee of the last parliament he served. So as being a member again, the experience count. He has withdrawn his also of foreign affairs representation. These are 2 political parties, the NRP and NPP. Well, the issue of Honorable Leah Sanyang being a chairperson of the subsidiary legislation. As I told you, the reason why the Select Committee identified chairpersons in various committees is to help the plenary not to violate standing order. We want to make sure that there is no duplication of chairperson in two Select Committee. The standing order has really frowned that if I remember of a chairperson of a Select Committee, you cannot be another chairperson again of that another Select Committee. That you are violating our own standing order. For the Committee of Selection, that is why we only end at giving you chairperson in various committees, referencing on your other membership in other committees, so that the vice chairperson could be open to your committees. Once we are done here, you are going into your various committee to have a meeting with your membership and elect or select your vice chairpersons. But this issue of identifying chairperson was in the spirit not to avoid duplication, which is a violation of our standing orders. Member for Banjul South. Okay, member also talk about Gassama, Honorable Gassama, for being a member. It's now up to the honorable member to withdraw from a particular committee and put himself in the Education Committee. I think that has been the debate of the Parliament. Your experience and your leadership style is really befitting, and therefore you have been attested by your vice chairperson that you should be on board. So preference will be given to you as how to vary in your various committee and giving more preference to education. Your experience is really needed in this particular committee. I cannot agree more on that suggestion. Going to the Banjul South, of course, issue about there is no independent factor. I think that's the mistake. There is Honorable Keba Tisane as a member of the Select Committee you are talking about. Secondly, frown about issue of ECOWAS delegation. I want us to understand, ECOWAS in other jurisdiction, these are separate members of parliament contesting for ECOWAS seat at the level of the constituency or national level. But in our own case, you contest as a member in your constituency and come here, these parliaments take the decision to send you there. Sorry. So sorry. So basically, the issue of ECOWAS membership or protocol cannot override. These are protocol, but cannot override our national laws. So the only authority, the only approving body to send you to ECOWAS is this national parliament. There is no any other article, there is no other tool that can override that. And of course, I will also refer the members to a particular letter given to you that dated on the 7th of January 2020, submission of names of Gambian representative to the 5th legislature of the ECOWAS Parliament. The aforesaid delegation members are Honorable KKB, Keba Kebaro, Honorable Samba Jallo, Honorable Mohamed Magasi, Honorable Tumanjai, and Matar Jeng. Honorable Famaranjai. The aforesaid delegation was approved by a resolution of the plenary of the National Assembly of the Gambia in April 2017 to represent the National Assembly to the ECOWAS Parliament for the period of 2017 to 2022. And further reconfirmed by the Committee of Selection in its meeting on Monday, 6 January 2020. So it's now clear, mandate given to membership of ECOWAS is to serve for a period of 5 years and nothing else. Going to Honorable Member of Kiang East, he also did mention about his leadership, of course. I think we have thrust out that you could be a member in that area. And he also looked at the issue of gender representation in terms of committee. Parliament with only 5 female, it's barely impossible to have them in every select committee or in every standing committee. We did our utmost best to make sure they are adequately represented in committees. So that is the constraint the Parliament have. It's unfortunate, but of course we are also guided by what? The party representation in various committee. Member for Woolly East also talked about on the Public Appointment Committee and also agrees that he could be more productive and more useful in that particular committee. And he looked at whether there is no APRC, but then his mind has been recalled that there is APRC in the delegation. And also the friendship group chairpersonship, which has been also alluded that the issue of nominated member from Majara also spoke and thanked the committee for a job well done, and did some comment and clarifications and also response to concerns raised in Parliament. Member for Central Badibu is concerned about all members in the new committees. Why? Of course, we are of the firm belief that institutional memory is very important. Even though they are not only people who should be factored in the committee clerks are also there, having records of previous proceedings of various committee engagements. When they are there, they will help the new members in terms of settling down and making them understand what has transpired before them and where the committee has stopped. That is why the Parliament asks each and every select committee chairperson to make a handing over note and send it, deposit it to your various committee clerks. So this could be used to really brief members, the new members come in, and give them ground footing and help them in terms of taking over new responsibilities as well. And he also alluded about issue of the Defense and Security Committee. I think I'll respond to that. And he also mentioned that defensive group, of course, and the level of representations, and if agreed, could be discussed, who and who. But the defensive group are not only limited to this one. The friendship group could be added. If anybody feels that you are very good in China policy relations, there is no harm in submitting your name to be considered in the China friendship group. But if I also of the firm believe that you can also perform well in Turkey friendship group, the door is open, it's not closed. The friendship group could be added based on your expertise. But what we want to avoid is that to avoid duplication of membership in so many committees. That is the fear. That is why the committee took its time to adequately fix you well. But then if you are moving from a committee, a friendship group, you must also make sure you do a swap to come to that particular friendship group. And in so doing, we will not have a member representing a friendship group 3 or twice a member, to avoid that. Okay. Latrikunda Savaji highlighted the issue of chairpersonship. The select committee is mandated, according to the standing order, to propose chairpersons of various committees. And I told you the spirit is that to avoid double representation as chairperson of other committees. So if we are doing that, we are trying to make sure that we will not really flag our own standing orders. That is why we end at giving chairperson in select committee, allowing them to dissolve in their various committee to elect or select their various chairpersons. Combo South also is concerned about the security issue in the area, and also creates a concern that it should be of person with well experience and expertise. Be rest assured, coming from a fragile community does not really mean that you must be part of a particular committee. Parliament, any issues concerning your constituency, you are at liberty to come and send an issue to that committee and allow them for investigation. And also, he also proposed that education chairmanship or membership should also be given to Yaya Gassama, who has served as a member. And also cited on the supplementary protocol of 2016 on the ECOWAS delegation. But I want to assure you that those protocols cannot override our national laws. And also the issue of the protocol you cited, the mandate given to you was approved by plenary and is the approving body to send delegation for a period of 5 years. And that has been done. And also, he also mentioned about the issue of Honorable Yaya Sanyang being an expert in construction company, to be given privilege to man the monitoring committee. I think he has even stepped down to allow him chair that particular committee, if I'm right. Civil engineering, exactly. And also, he also did reiterate for Honorable Member Suwaibu Ture to lead the Committee on Human Rights and Constitutional Matters. I think Honorable Ture mentioned that he's contented with the leadership of Honorable Madi MK Sise to lead that particular committee. Thank you so much, Honorable Member for Woolly East. Kian West reiterates the issue of the background gender representation, that is too much of women in the gender committee. I can assure you, we don't want to have lesser women representation in that committee. And it is also a good practice to have them there, as alluded by another member, Memuna Sise. But also, it's also open, as member of Upper Salon did reiterate, that the pioneers who have been very much advocates of the gender committee, likes of member of Central Badibu, to be a member of it. Depends on the plenary approval as well. For Sami, the same issue reiterates, the issue of the chairperson of the Defense and Security, and Honorable Agasama also on education, and virtually these are the main concern areas: the Education Committee, Agasama, the Defense Security Chairmanship, and others. Member for Janjambure also highlights about the lack of consultation in terms of the nomination of committee of selection in the committee of selection. Well, I think that's at the level of the minority, and they have agreed to send this to the committee. And also in terms of youth and sport, he felt that there is no much number of youth that's been represented in the Youth and Sport Committee. Not necessarily you have to be a youth to represent the Youth and Sport Committee, but I can assure you there are very good people who have vast experience in sport, the likes of, I don't want to mention, but you can find so many people who are even member of the previous select committee, like the current minority leader was the chairperson of Sport Committee in Parliament. And I can tell you, he's a doyen in that area, and he will represent the interest of the youth very well. Sabah Sanjal also made an observation that why the committees are headed by the old NAMs, particularly the external delegations. Of course, these are party representation. We allow the leaders to nominate from their various party and to come in and then feature in. So prerogative was given to that, for them to best help the committee or delegation. Like for instance, in the area of Pan-African Parliament, Honorable was a member there, and he has been a very active member. So that is why I nominated from the side of majority to him to lead the delegation. But then those ones are more of party representation to factor in there. And you have independent candidate there, you have the APRC component there, you also have the NRP component there. Fonyim Bintang, talking about the select committee best fitted itself as opposed to new members. I think that is really a serious allegation. We did to the best of our ability to make sure that party representation counts, and also political pluralism and also gender representation also counts. So therefore, there has nothing of such nature whereby trying to do favoritism or nepotism. We've actually taken out of office that ill health, ill will or affection, fear or favor, will not do anything that will contravene those out of office. So therefore, I think it's very early to start pointing fingers at each other or accusing each other for such act. That is it. And also, of course, we noted your contribution allowing Honorable Kasama to be part of the Health Select Committee. He left to him to vary in how to bring in those submission from what committee to what committee. Fonyi Kansala also reiterates that he could be very effective in terms of education committee. But I can assure you, if you look at the Select Committee on Education, there are so many, this parliament is full with ex-teachers, headmasters, principals, so it's very, very difficult to satisfy all of them. So myself, I was a former lecturer before, but I'm not in the Select Committee on Education. I have to give way to others. So you have so many ex-runaway teachers, they call them rats. There are so many rats here that actually ran from teaching field and they are now here. So basically, likes of Honorable Sanku Dankwa was a headmaster, and you have a Select Committee. Honorable Alfuzeni Caesar was a member of the Select Committee before. I've been runaway teachers in aviation. So basically, you have a handful number of teachers representing the Committee on Education, and believe me fervently, it will really be a very effective committee. And in fact, we're coming up with the member, former chairperson Yaya Gassama, to represent, to be in a member committee, will really add value. Lower Salum, of course. Okay, member for Kansala also saw the interest in terms of his Islamic scholar background. Of course, it varies. I believe you are in one of the friendship group. It's left to you to leave a particular friendship group and swap to Saudi Arabia friendship group, which could be very much effective there. It's noted. Lower Salum, of course, thank you so much for the comments. We appreciate. And we believe that conscience will lead us in our deliberation, not issue of competing for chairpersonship or leadership in various committees. As alluded, everybody is already a leader leading your constituency from far and near. And he also made an observation. I think this was agreed that he will leave the Select Committee on Health to go to monitoring, and let Honorable Sise of Olyndum leave Select Committee on monitoring and come to health. So if it's agreeable among them two, you can do a swap there. So it's noted as well. Member for New Joshua constituency. Yeah, Joshua constituency. Well, was more of a comment and more of advice that is not based on your chairpersonship that you can move a committee. Once you're a member, you can really move the mountain higher. And regardless of which the committees, what's important is to see the nation first and work as a team. Yes. And it's too premature to be undoubting or try to downgrade each other's potentials, in various positions. I think that speaks volume of your leadership. Nominated member, Honorable Kebalang Fofana, thank you for your observation. I think the issue of defense and security has been addressed, and the issue of leadership in terms of who sends who to the ECOWAS Parliament has also been adequately addressed. Fonyi Jarol, thank you for the advice that a leader should be more of listener and a learner. Of course, these are the qualities, I cannot agree with you more, that these are the qualities of a good leader. You must be able to listen and learn from each other. Nobody has the iota of knowledge. Nobody has, everything in terms of experience and knowledge. You must be willing to learn from each other and to make sure, allow the led to educate the lead one. Another member for Nyamina Dankunku, concerned about his membership in FPAC and monitoring in previous parliaments. And he thought it wise, it could be prudent to have him in this committee. But I tell you, it's always important to experience new committees. It's an on-the-job training. Nobody was an expert in terms of parliamentary oversight functions. When I came here, I was fixed in trade. I had no background in trade, but I learned, I captured, and I was privileged to be the vice chairperson. But now I'm no more there. I'm also ready to take a different challenge again. So it's a difficult task given to you, and you must be ready and ready to take up the responsibility entrusted in you to go and pioneer and make difference in another committee, as you have done justice to FPAC and monitoring. So being a new committee that you did not serve in the previous legislature is, to me, is a challenge for you to go and break the silence there. So basically, I have no objection to that. And I told you the reason why we selected chairpersonship is to avoid to flout the standing order, whereby a member is already a member in the select committee, a chairperson there, and also a chairperson. If they regroup again and do the selection again, there is every tendency one of these such mistakes could be committed. So to avoid such, we allow the select committee to look at those things, cross-referencing them, to see that there is no duplicate of chairpersonship in this committee. And most importantly, every member is a member of is member of 3 minimum and maximum 4 committee, and that has been really looked at. Very few, 1 or 2 membership are either 5. So this is really unavoidable. And also, I think other member for Willie East has Alaya Fear, that clause 98 does give right that to say that I am being approved by the plenary, you cannot be removed if you are found incompetent. You could be removed, not even coming to plenary. At level of your committee, I have done that, we've done that. We've selected our new chairperson in our committee level. Environment also has done that without coming to plenary. So your fears are allayed. If you see anybody who is not really moving the committee well to the best of your interest and the Gambian interest, you are at liberty to change. Become a soft. Yeah, but rest assured, the committee clerks will be there to help settle the members. And also, he also asks whether the ones that are not for parliamentary approval, is it everything? If you look at the list, there are asterisk ones. The committee that we asterisk, those ones are not tantamount or subjected to plenary approval. So I think that has answered your question. The issue of the which committee are not subjected to parliamentary approval. The committee you have there that are having asterisks, does not require parliamentary approval. Kalindin Kunjan. Yes, I think the issue of security has manifested, committee leadership, and of course gender. I want to appeal that we leave the number of women there. We can do the proposal made by members of Lower Upper Salum to bring in additional men, but not to really reduce the membership from that committee as far as it's concerned. So basically, the member for Upper Salum has made suggestion that the pioneers, the forerunners of this gender issue in Parliament were member of Senator Badibu, and he could really also help in terms of moving the committee forward. All Yundum was more of clarity to avoid replica of what has happened already, and Fladugu, Upper Fladu West, more of comments. Nyani also, security committee was an issue, and experience and then background. But rest assured, we have really considered experience because of the members' experience in the last parliament, and of course currently will really help move the committee forward. Member for Sunday mentoring. General representation in committee, of course, I told you, we are really constrained with a number of women in the chambers. So obviously, wouldn't have getting more than this. But rest assured, they are really factored in different committees. And issue of leadership also, as I told you, is at the prerogative of the committee. If you go there, if you think that you are deemed fit to chair a particular committee, it depends on how you can lobby your members to give you that opportunity to lead. However, the selection committee did propose leadership on various committees and delegations to make sure that they head those things. Madi, why Honorable Madi Sise is not heading the ACP EU? Yes, Honorable Madi Sise was member of the Selection Committee, and likewise Honorable Abla Sise, we are both members of the Selection Committee. So I think it was agreeable at the level of the Selection Committee to do that. Combo East, yes, the same issue. The independent and internal delegations, these were based on party representation, and we are giving preference to them. And he also gave a justification that is very much of faith in terms of financial issues, and is deemed it fit to be part of the FPAC. Well, I told you there was a party representation. Your party has been fully captured. If they think they can give way to you to come in there, it's always open. But so your ex-parties do not really rely on only their membership. You could come in there as an observer to the committee at any time, sit and also give your blessings. This membership is meeting of committees also are open to members to come and attend. If you think that you are well experienced, you are exposed, you can really help the committee move, nothing stops you from attending their meeting and give your expert advice. So I think that could really help in a situation. Banjul North are concerned about his membership in international delegation. I told you not everybody will factor in the delegation. These are only 6 and the rest are friendship group. However, you are a member of the friendship group. If you think that you are best at China delegation, you can see how best you could swap and come and leave a particular friendship group. So that answers the question. I think already you are in Franco-Gambia parliamentary friendship group as well. That is the French, anyway. Nominated member Maimuna Sise, more of a comment, giving the women the priority to live there, not to reduce their numbers, as it is a women thing, and they think they are well off in that committee. They are not also opposed to bringing men, but to reduce their figures, this should be avoided. Opus Salum, of course, applauded the select committee for a job well done. It's never easy to satisfy everybody, but I think what we did was the best of our ability and interest of this country. And of course, he even helped me in answering some of the concerns raised in Parliament in terms of composition about membership of ECOWAS and what have you. And make some proposal about Honorable Suleiman Saho, and of course, Honorable Member of Kiang East. Busumbala, yes. Issue about the leadership is not about answerability here in Parliament, but it's about collective responsibility given to you as committee. So I believe with your background in law, with your experience also in the security sector, you could be of help. That was why, in fact, the more reason why you factored in the Committee of Defense Security. We couldn't have any more better candidate than you to be there. But your experience there could really help the committee move forward. So irrespective of who leads, it's about the spirit of teamwork. Let's see ourselves as honorable of Parliament, and let's see ourselves as the foreigners of Parliament. You could contribute effectively, you could help the committee move on, you could also support the committee based on your legal background. I meant to understand that you are a barrister and also worked at the security sector for 15 years. And this is a very good experience of you, and I think you could make a difference in that particular committee. Issue about Bunduwakunda was, of course, general comment on leadership. Of course, we are all leaders in our various constituency. That is why we are here. If you look at nobody's called by a party tag here, we are members of parliament from constituencies. What it dictates is that national interest should really supersede the personal interest or personal position as well. So therefore, I concur with you. I cannot agree with you more on this than to say that yes, it's not about who lead, but it's about how to work effectively to move the committee to achieve 3 main responsibility: the oversight, legislation, and representation as well. Ilyasa, well, more of thanking the committee. It's not a good job. It's not an easy job to make sure you split members of parliament into different committees, standing committees. It's not an easy task. You look into very broad things. You look at the background, you look at the political pluralism, you look at also the experience. So it's not easy. So thanks so much for appreciating our effort. That leadership is not really easy. Nyamina West constituency. Issue about the trade committee. Yes, as I told you, you might be very much good at trade. He was a member of trade, but we ensure that the institutional memory stays. Honorable Kiaba Jallo was the rapporteur to the committee, and in terms of being a rapporteur, you are already an institutional memory of the committee. So we deem it fit to allow him there. Myself, I'm no more there. Honorable Sise is no more there, and you are no more there. We believe that is a challenge. You could go and perform better in other committees. Already you've already created a passion for the job. We agree. But already the committee was really with the mind that it's important to leave at least one. And in fact, that one has already been proposed to be the chairperson of the select committee. So I think that brings me to the end of the response. I want to sincerely thank each and every one of us. This is not an easy job, and we also want your cooperation and collaboration to move this institution of parliament forward. You cannot satisfy all, but let us appreciate this thing as a starting point and see ourselves. Let's talk to each other. Let's not talk at each other. Let's be each other's brother keeper. Let's work harmoniously and see that the committee is yours. Everybody have it in mind. This select committee is mine. So once we work in that spirit, definitely, regardless of who leads, will be very insignificant. So I thank you so much. This is the first session of the assembly. Let's keep the spirit. Let's keep the unity. With strength and unity and consensus building, we'll move forward. Your minority leader and deputy minority leader has done utmost best to make sure that your party representation is factored. And that was why it was a very smooth ride for us to arrive at the decision. And it's always important for us to appreciate. I want to thank the minority leader for his collaboration and understanding in terms of fitting in his various members in various committees. I wouldn't do justice without also thanking the committee clerks, the officer clerk, and the committees that really help us. So on that note, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Majority Leader, for your brilliant summation of issues raised and effective response to members' concerns. Equally, let me also thank honorable members for your contributions on this particular issue. As chairman of the committee, I must thank both sides of Parliament, and I can assure you, during deliberations at this committee, they dealt with it maturely, bearing always in mind the supreme interests of our people and whom they represent. So, thank you all. I now put the question.
Honorable Speaker.
Yes, please.
Yes. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, with your permission, I want to thank the Majority Leader with that marathon responses. But, Honorable Speaker, I think issues raised by honorable members are very valid, particularly the select committees, their chairpersons. I want to remind the House, when we came 2017, we allowed the committee members to make selection of their leaders, and we didn't have any problem. It was so democratic. It was very democratic. So, right, you made a good choice to choose people or recommend people to be our chairpersons. But
honorable member, you are taking us back.
I'm not taking you back.
Yes, we have just raised those issues, Honorable member, if you, from your own contributions, you see, we have about a lot of committees. you ask each of the committees to select their chairperson and vice chairperson, can bring in a lot of complications and duplications. The majority leader said it. I am in education. I may nominate him for chairmanship and the other one for vice chairmanship. From the same, probably from different political parties. You go to health, the best there may be the same political parties, it may be one political party, it can occur, and you may have omissions on gender. You will not know until after the committees are selected. So it is fair enough for the committee of selections to propose these things to you. If at the committee level you feel somebody is not efficient, you can invoke this relevant section of the standing orders and do what you need to do. So, honorable members, now I now put the question on the report. Be it resolved that this Honorable Assembly do adopt the report of the Committee of Selection on the nomination of membership to committees of the National Assembly and international parliamentary delegations with amendments for the period 2022 to 2027. Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those not in favor, please say no. 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 The ayes have it.
Count. It's a no, let's just do a hand count.
Honorable Clerk.
Let us count.
It goes with the amendment, is that?
I said, in his response, you made a lot of brilliant suggestions, which he acknowledged, and then they have accepted it, and therefore they will do the relevant, I said, with amendments. What else do you need?
We still don't agree.
Clerk.
No, the issue is you have comfortable
Motion on the adjournment.
Clerk.
I think you are, Mr.
Honorable Speaker.
Let us do a head count. It's safer.
Speaker is going to call me. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
You are ignoring honorable members, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Speaker, in accordance with Order 54, Clause 1 of the Standing Orders of the National Assembly, I rise to move this August Assembly to stand adjourned. Stand I move the motion. Honorable Speaker, I would like to give the Assembly a brief of what has transpired during the second ordinary session, which is also commonly known as the inaugural session of the 6th legislature in 2022 legislative year for the period 14 April to today, 25th of April. During this session, we witnessed the election of both the Honorable Speaker and the Honorable Deputy Speaker and the administration of oath by members. May I use this opportunity to congratulate you, the Right Honorable Speaker, on your election as Speaker. Indeed, you are no stranger to this chamber, and we are most pleased and hopeful of tapping from your rich experience and benefiting from your guidance. In the same vein, I wish to congratulate the Deputy Speaker and all honorable members on winning the trust and confidence of Gambians to serve in this noble institution of Parliament. Honorable Speaker, honorable members, earlier today we consider and adopt the records of votes and proceedings of National Assembly sitting of Thursday, 14th April 2022, considering the nature of this session, which could only be described as inaugural session. For the 6th legislature, we had not considered any bill or oral question for ministers. Honorable Speaker, earlier today, we consider and adopt the report of the Committee of Selection on the nomination of members to various standing and select committees of the Assembly, international delegation, and parliamentary friendship groups. On a final note, as this August Assembly considered the motion to adjourn and I wish to seize the opportunity to express sincere thanks to our electorates for the trust and confidence they continue to have in us in this August Assembly, especially in the dawn of the widely professed New Gambia. I wish to assure them, on behalf of all members, that we shall continue to strive to live up to expectation by pursuing the supreme interests of the people of the Gambia without fear or favor or party affiliation. As we began to enjoy our experience and professionalism guidance, Honorable Speaker, I would like to thank you for the delicate manner in which you have handled the affairs of this August Assembly today, and pray to Allah, the Almighty, grant you the strength and wisdom to continue to steer the affairs of this Assembly. In our service to the people of the Gambia, to my honorable colleagues, I salute you all for your foresight, dedication, patience, and understanding, especially in considering the motion on the report of the Committee of Selection on the nomination of membership in various committees. Duty well executed. I also register special thanks and gratitude to the clerk and the staff of National Assembly Service for all the support and service rendered to honorable members during this session, while looking forward to your continued excellent services. I did say we are grateful. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move.
Any seconder? Member for Nyanija?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I rise to second the motion and equally move a motion for us to adjourn without debate.
No. Amadou, stop that. Amadou, please.
Honorable member, can we hear from you again? Honorable member for Nyanija, can we hear from you?
Thank you very much. I can repeat myself. I rise to second the motion raised by the honorable majority. That's the motion on the adjournment debate, and equally move a motion for us to adjourn without debate.
No, observation. No. Observation. No, it cannot be possible. There is a motion on the floor. Please.
Honorable members, I just told you.
Motion.
Honorable members.
Vote on that motion. No.
Honorable members. Honorable members, address the chair, please. The motion has been moved and seconded. The motion has been moved and seconded, honorable member.
No, it's not seconded.
It's not seconded.
The motion to adjourn Sunday has been moved by the majority leader and seconded. You said it's not so. Honorable member, tell us. The honorable member saying no. Please tell us what next. So please address the chair, please. It has been moved and seconded. Banjul South. Banjul South. Please stop shouting. If you want to talk, address the chair. I will give you the chance. What do you want to say, honorable member?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. What I'm saying is that the motion was to adjourn sine die, and the secondment was to adjourn sine die without debate, and that is a counter motion.
Honorable member, you are talking and you are not listening to me. I said the motion to adjourn sine die has been moved by the majority leader and seconded. So it's important to listen. Honorable members, as I said, the motion to adjourn sine die has been moved and seconded. Now I will call on the honorable member for Nyanija to make his motion.
But before that, can you put a question there? Can you put a question there?
Honorable member.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Can I come in again?
Honorable member, please.
Okay, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I rise to move a motion for us to adjourn sine die without debate.
Any seconder?
Lower Salum, Lower Salum. Lower Salum.
Member for Lower Salum.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to second the motion.
Honorable members, we have two motions I now put to you. The first motion, it has been moved and seconded that this Honorable Assembly adjourn sine die. Those in favor, please say aye. Not in favor, please say no. The ayes have it. Again, there is a motion that we adjourn without debate. It has been moved and seconded. Now I now pose the question. Those in favor, please say aye. Not in favor? No. 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 Have it. Honorable members, the ayes have it. No. Honorable, no. Honorable Speaker, I'm calling for division. Honorable Speaker, we are calling for division. You called for division after I have made the pronouncement. No. Honorable Speaker, we are calling for division. Pardon? We are calling for division. Division. Honorable Speaker. Honorable member, please sit down. I have put it to you people. And both sides, those who said aye, we all had it, and no, we all have it. No. What I said was, there was a position when we should have talked about division. I listened. No. No, I have taken that decision, please.
Honorable Speaker, let us be democratic, please.
Honorable Speaker,
the position on division comes after your declaration of your position.
Who is speaking? The one seeking the floor in connection to position of the... Who is speaking, please? Yeah, identify yourself. Can I come? Yes, I said the position on the call for division comes after your pronouncement on the voting. So that's the time the position, the vote or the motion on division can be raised. Then there you can also take a position on that.
So they are.
Now what we do now is we now vote those in favor to adjourn, sign, die without debate. Please raise your hands.
No, not before.
Honorable members, we now, I have just put the motion, the question, that those who don't want us to debate, raise your hands.
Okay, we'll count.
Honorable members, those now in favor for us to debate, put your hands up. Those in favor of a debate. Honorable members, I've just been given the results. Those who want us to adjourn without debate, I have 32 votes. Those who want us to have debate, who say no, have 24 votes. So, the ayes have it.
Please avoid the assembly is in session. Let them sit down. The assembly is still in session.
Honorable members, we are still on session. Please take your seats. Honorable members, Honorable members, this was a very brief session for the inauguration of the 6th legislature following the parliamentary elections of 9th April 2022.
after the adjournment of this session, the office of the clerk will make suitable arrangements for proper induction before the next ordinary session. This will give new and returning members the opportunity to learn or refresh ourselves on parliamentary processes and procedures. Honorable members, the Assembly now stands adjourned, sine die.